Welcome in, guys. Today we're going to be talking about a Mossberg pistol called the MC2C. A lot of people know Mossberg for their shotguns, but Mossberg's first firearm back in 1919 was actually a pistol. It was a pistol called the Brownie, which was a quad-barreled .22. Over 100 years later, they're dipping their toe back into the pistol game, and they're still family-owned and operated, making it the oldest family firearms manufacturer in America. Unlike the Brownie, which was made in New Haven, Connecticut, the MC2C was made in Eagle Pass, Texas. Mossberg moved their operation to Eagle Pass, Texas in the late 80s. Just like every other striker-fired pistol coming out on the market, it has a lot in common with Glock, and it's clearly trying to compete with Glock since it has almost identical guts, the capacity of a 19 and the slimness of a 48. It has a Glock vibe with extra steps, and I gotta say, if Glock started making more ergonomic pistols, it would be a wrap for these clones flooding the market. This pistol ranges from as low as $330 and as high as $700. It has a really wide price range because it has so many different factory options. It comes in black DLC or two-tone stainless, night sights or white sights, with or without a crossbolt safety, optic cut or not optic cut, compact or subcompact. One of the many reasons why I love Mossberg is their focus on affordability. Take the Mossberg 500, for instance. It was made in the early 60s, and ever since they've been pumping out models at lower and higher price points. So you can get the same great, reliable 500 receiver in action with countless factory options to make an entry point for everyone. The Maverick 88 coming in at around $200, being at the base, which Mossberg calls their working man's shotgun, all the way up to their most Gucci, Vangcomp, 590 models for thousands of dollars. The MC2C is definitely trying to compete in a very crowded space, which is why I think this pistol is most attractive at its base model, sub $350. The market is way too stacked at higher price points, and although the pistol feels and shoots great, it's still a Gen 1, and Gen 1s, more often than not, do have issues. This pistol's been out for about 4 years, and there are no recalls to date. I got this pistol brand new for free. No, I'm not sponsored by anyone, and all the opinions in this video are my opinions and my opinions alone. I can already hear the fanboys in the comments telling me I'm complaining about a free pistol. Just don't be that guy, okay? I got it for free because I bought the 940 JM Pro when it came out, and this pistol came out at the same exact time, and it was some promo they were having. Buy the 940 for like $900 and get the MC2C for free. It's taken me this long to finally shoot it because I've honestly just been really unmotivated by yet another Glock clone. It's just been sitting in the back of my safe for years, but I figured it would make a good review. Also, don't do what I do because warranties often don't last very long, and I have gotten brand new lemons before. One is actually coming in the next few weeks when it gets back from RMA from the factory. I wanted to include the company's reaction in the review for that pistol, but it's not this pistol. I didn't know this, but the MC2C doesn't come with a warranty. It has a voluntary limited warranty that you have to register to get, and it only applies to the original purchaser of the pistol. That being said, I've never had a bad experience with Mossberg customer service, and I've contacted them several times in the last decade. But okay, let's get into features. It comes with Mec-Gar mags, which for those of you that don't know, Mec-Gar is Italian greatness. They're considered the gold standard of magazine manufacturing. They're an industry leader and make OEM mags for Beretta, SIG, CZ, Ruger, and a bunch more. So if you're ever wondering to yourself why SIG mags, for instance, are $65, it's because they're the middleman. Other manufacturers like CZ, for instance, don't upcharge as much. The mag release placement is perfect, but at the same time, it's a gift and a curse, because I wish the undercut was a bit higher, and you can't have both. And the crossbar safety, if you get that model, won't allow it to go any higher either. Not sure if it's a feature or a bug, but the mag release does feel great. It's not ambi, but it's interchangeable, as you can see on the mag lockup port, which is on both sides of the magazine. The stippling on this pistol might actually be my all-time favorite stippling job, and it's not even custom. It feels aggressive, which I love. That's the whole point of stippling. It's smooth to the touch, so clothing will slide right over it, but really aggressive and has a little bit of a bite to it when you squeeze it. I just wish there was more of it. They're victims of their own success. They gave me a taste of what it can feel like, and I want more. But I will say it's stippled in all the right places around the grip, including the mag release. They could remove the stippling by the accessory rail and just put more of it on the grip. They have stippling on both sides, which is a little confusing because it makes sense for your support hand to have a little bit of stippling to control recoil, but your indexed finger doesn't need stippling. To be the best faith possible, I guess it's on both sides just in case you're a lefty, but at the same time, the slide lock isn't ambi or interchangeable. The safety is also for a righty, but apparently reversible according to the manual. I just don't think this pistol is very friendly to wrong-handed people at all. The frame is probably the coolest feature on here, which sets itself apart from most others. It copied Glock, CZ, and IWI with its high tensile strength, fiberglass reinforced polymer frame. We can't really compare the blends to other models because they're always proprietary, which means it's some random percentage. Glock, I believe, is around 15%. The concept is pretty cool, though, and I wish more manufacturers would do it. Older gun people remember the first generation of gun YouTube videos where someone would leave a Glock out on a picnic table in the hot sun and the frame would like kind of deform.
Yes, it is hot in Texas, but I did not expect this. Watch this. Squishy, squishy, squishy.
Not that anyone should be leaving their pistol out in the sun, but reinforcement is great. Think about it like what rebar does to concrete. There are generally two styles of frames, boxy or slim, which is more rectangular. Bigger hands like boxy, smaller hands like slim. This frame is a slim. The slide is 416 stainless steel, which means it has good machinability, but it has lower corrosion resistance compared to austenitic stainless steels, which are alloys, meaning they're combined with other metals. Everyone has heard of inox models of firearms, really popular on the 92FS. Pure steel is not inox or inoxidable, which is a French term to describe a steel chromium alloy. This model is just steel. Black models get a DLC finish over the top of this steel. And DLC stands for Diamond Light Carbon. I'm a huge fan of this coating, but I am kind of a stickler when it comes to coatings because a coating is only good as its substrate, and this one doesn't have one. I have the same criticism of Glock because they do the same thing, but the difference is Glock uses a much harder steel. Glock's slide material is unknown, but they're heat treated to a 64 Rockwell hardness. Most slides on the market are around 45 Rockwell hardness. The MC2C slide is 416 stainless steel, which has an absolute hardness ceiling of 40 Rockwell when heat treated, making it slightly subpar to comparable models and not even in the same ballpark as Glock in terms of hardness. Glock has a very hard metal, not anodized, and a very hard DLC finish. The MC2C has a much softer metal, not anodized, and a very hard DLC finish. Similar, but not the same. However, most people won't test this pistol enough to even notice. You ever hear the expression, you can polish a turd, but it's still a piece of shit? Not saying the gun or the DLC is but the substrate makes or breaks the longevity of the DLC. Most people don't care because they shoot a box of ammo per year. That's why you really need to be careful with Cerakote. You get what you pay for. You're going to pay a premium for Cerakote that's done right because of the underlayer, not the Cerakote itself. Anyone can strip a factory coating off of a gun and Cerakote it. Not everyone can anodize. And I hate to break it to you, but it's probably not being done at your local FFL gunsmith either. There are top players in this space that do it right, and most, if not all of them, are mail-in services. Gun coatings are really important, and they all try to achieve the same thing, which is to make the metal have better properties, whether it's durability, corrosion resistance, friction resistance, lubrosity, anti-galling, or as a bonus, aesthetics. DLC is the outcome of a process called PVD, or physical vapor deposition. It's a coating that uses a thin layer of carbon to mimic the property of diamonds, such as hardness and low friction. Anodizing before a DLC coating is optimal. The silver lining is how Mossberg did compensate for the DLC coating because the tolerances feel great. It has a nice lockup. Anytime you add coating to gun parts, you always have to add 2 1,000ths per diameter. And James Reeve also did a torture test on the subcompact version of this firearm, and it held up really well. I'll link that down below. I can keep going about different coatings, but I really think it should be its own video, maybe in the future. I don't know, it's also kind of hard to get footage to use as an example of these vacuum chambers the companies use because they all feel like they're doing something just a little bit more special than their competitors, so the process is really hush-hush. Some models have a loaded chamber indicator on top. This one does not. Not sure at what point in time in the last 4 years they added this and to what models, but they're all Gen 1s, and some of them have them, some of them not. I'm assuming the early iterations like this one does not. It has a flat trigger, which is pretty heavy, 5.5 pounds, just like a Glock. Feels great, has a nice wall, crisp break, consistent reset. It has no internal safeties, but it has 2 external safeties. It has the crossbolt safety if you opt for that model, and then it has the blade safety as well. The sights are dovetail, really smooth and hidden, which is nice for carry, and it has an accessory rail. The biggest difference internally is their STS, or Safe Takedown System, which I absolutely loathe. It replaces a trigger pull with a button on the backplate, a button that my fat fingers can't depress without a tool, at least not every time. Give me a reliable field strip without needing a tool or small fingers or fumble with small parts such as a backplate. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed shooting this and I'm going to keep it as a range pistol, but if STS is their X factor, it's a pass for me regarding carrying it. I'm not sure if Mossberg is going after European police contracts or just going after the average FUD, but I think it misses the mark completely since I'm neither of those things. It's called a field strip for a reason. I need to be able to strip it while in the field without having to catch a spring or worrying about losing the most important component in the firearm, which is the firing pin. If you send the slide forward without removing the firing pin assembly, it pops out and you have to catch it. I also don't want my firing pin exposed to dirt and debris. If I have to actually field strip it, I don't want it exposed to my dirty hands, frays off of my gloves, oil, or anything else. Newer gun users, please make sure your hands are clean when you break this down. You should never get oil in your firing pin channel or breech face because it's not needed and it will only attract debris and cause malfunction. I normally clean this chamber on pistols every few range visits, not every time. I don't like giving my firing pin attention every time I clean my pistol. When you oil, less is more. These pistols are designed to lap and break in by having metal rub against metal. Get a 1 ounce applicator bottle and even then still put it on a Q-tip or rag to apply it. You hit the rails, the top of the crown, the side of the barrel, that's it. Stop putting oil on your locking blocks. The whole point of that locking block is so that it locks up. Why would you want lubrosity on your locking block to hinder it from locking? The fact that NDs happen most with Glocks when field stripping and depressing the trigger is more indicative of a failure of fundamentals than it is a failure of the system itself. Learn the basics of firearm safety so we don't have to deal with these companies fixing things that aren't broken. The mag release feels great, but there's a reason, which is a trade-off. If you place the pistol down properly, which is ejection port skyward, not to get debris in the chamber, you can pop the mag out. So you have to put the pistol down, ejection port downward. Not major, but something to keep in mind. It has a slide lock, not a slide release. It's really difficult to send the slide forward this way because the lever is so slim. It is a carry gun, but nobody ever printed because of a slide release, especially not righties. The crossbolt safety requires your trigger finger to blindly find it right next to the trigger. I can see this turning bad if carried by someone that doesn't train with it. Unfortunately, that's most people. For context, I hate all manual safeties, but this one especially. The location and feel is just no bueno. The finish on the slide is reflective on both the black and two-tone models. At first, I thought it was just a problem with the stainless model, but I found Reddit threads of people talking about the black version too, so I don't think it's just the DLC coating. So if you're drawing in high light scenarios, you're going to see two front sights. When seconds count, you probably shouldn't be second guessing which front sight is the real one and which one is the reflection. Again, training solves this, but the factory can eliminate this entirely. It has no back straps, even though it looks like it has plenty of room for one on the back of the frame to add. So big-handed people probably won't like this, but there is an oversized trigger guard if you needed a positive. And lastly, it comes with a flush 13-round mag and a 15-round mag. I'm going to make a lot of new friends with this take. Not many people like flush fit mags, so exceptions should not be the rule. Nobody likes to wrestle that little mag plate out of the gun. I have yet to find a single person in real life who trains regularly and carries regularly that likes to carry with a flush fit mag in exchange for 2 less capacity on any compact or subcompact pistol. They immediately throw the flush fit mag in the safe and buy full-size mags. This is less of a con towards this specific pistol and more of a general comment towards the entire market. Most people, including myself, carry 9mm for one reason and one reason only: capacity. Capacity is king. It's the reason the FBI went back to 9mm after adopting the 40 Smith & Wesson in the late 80s. They ended up adopting the 40 Smith & Wesson because the FBI shot 2 perpetrators like 10 to 20 times and they still didn't go down. But later they went back to the 9mm because they realized that if any of those 10 to 20 rounds were appropriately placed, the suspects would have went down. And if they had less capacity, potentially the suspects wouldn't have gone down either way. 9mm is a 35 cal. It has a diameter of .355, and it's a zippy little sucker that loves to overpenetrate. If snappiness and capacity didn't matter, we'd all be carrying a 45 or a 10mm. And we went over this in the last video, but if the difference between printing and not printing is a half of an inch on the bottom of your frame, you're carrying wrong. And the gun company's theory is you should carry with the flush fit in, then carry the 15 as a backup, but it also conveniently saves the manufacturer money. And you can check the prices on the Mec-Gar website if you don't believe me. I'm sure there are people in the comments right now typing how much they love flush fit mags, and if you like them, cool. You're just a minority. It's a very fringe minority of people that would prefer these. Maybe a female, maybe a guy with a smaller frame, maybe somebody newer that's just listening to the company's recommendation. But how many small guys and women are carrying compared to medium-sized guys and big guys? This pistol barely fits my hand with the 15-round mag, and I have small hands. My pinky completely hangs with the 13 in. We see people buying extension plates more than we see them buying flush fit mags. Full-size pistols should come with the pistol, and flush fit mags should be something that you buy after the fact if that's your flavor. But guys, please keep in mind that I'm not a Mossberg hater. In fact, quite the opposite. Their pumps are my favorite on the market. I've been running their semi-autos for 3-gun for a little over 6 years now with their 930 and now their 940 JM Pro. Before I ran the 930, I ran a Remington Versa Max Competition Tactical, but it's my job as a reviewer to be overly critical. So please spare me, Mossberg fanboys. I've been one longer than you. This pistol punches above its weight, and it's a pretty nice shooter overall if you like Glock clones. Would I buy this pistol if I didn't get it for free? No, I wouldn't. But that doesn't mean that it's not right for you. That's all I have for you today. Please like and subscribe. Join the Discord if you'd like to talk to like-minded people. We have beginner to advanced sections. Every day I scour the internet to find the best deals on guns, ammo, bushcraft, medical, prepping, etc. And I put all of that in the Discord. If you'd like to support me by helping me out with ammo to review more firearms, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as low as $4 per month. Until next time, take care.